the Arab-Israeli conflict. Okay, and I was thinking, where shall we start? What do you think? Where should we start? It's not a simple. It's not a simple question. Abraham, we have to start 4,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago. Now, why 4,000 years ago? Because that's when the first Jew, or first Hebrew, turned to be, right? That's Abraham. And from him, a nation came to be. So I was flipping through the pages here in the book of Genesis, and this is what I found out. There's something that you know. Genesis 12, when the Lord calls to Abraham, Lech lecha mi aretzecha mi moladetecha mi beit avicha. It's not ha ha ha.
That's what I heard.
I can tell you what it is. Go out from your land, from your relatives, and your father's house, to the land that I will show you. Okay? I will make you into a great nation. I'll bless you. I'll make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who treat you with contempt. And all the peoples, or all the nations on earth will be blessed through you. You're familiar with this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me take another one here. Genesis 15, and we will be in verse 17. Another covenant. God and Abraham. That's when the sacrifice took place. This is when God asked Abraham to make a sacrifice. There. When the sun had set, when the sun had set and it was dark, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch appeared and passed between the divided animal that Abraham cut. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, I give this land to your offsprings from the brook of Egypt, which is what? Nile?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To Euphrates River,
Iraq,
Mesopotamia. The land of Canaanites, Kenizzites, Kadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaim, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. All those ites. Okay. All right. Also, we had a chance to read the Shema. Remember, that's the Jewish prayer in the book of Deuteronomy. And there, we also had, we read that the Lord will, if you follow her, He will close if you carefully obey my commandments, I'm giving you today, to love the Lord your God and worship Him with all your heart, with your soul. I will provide rain, we mentioned that. And be careful that you will not entice to turn aside and worship other gods. Then the Lord's anger will burn against you. He will close the sky. There will be no rain. The land will not yield its produce, and you will perish quickly from the good land that I'm giving you. And then he continues, every place the sole of your foot treads will be yours. Your territory will extend from from the wilderness to Lebanon, and from the Euphrates to the Mediterranean. No one will be able to stand against you. The Lord your God will put fear and dread you in all the land where you set a foot, as He has promised. So,
what are the references on that?
Deuteronomy 11. Deuteronomy 11. Okay, so the Bible mentions all those ites, Jebusites, all those Jebusites, Hivites, all those things. These ites do not exist anymore. There's no more ites, and that's what you see if you go through the history of the Middle East. You will see that no one actually can claim the same continuity. If you take Egyptians, for example, right? We know the Egyptian territory, the Nile River, but Egyptian people of today are no similarity to the Egyptian people of the days of Pharaoh, the days of the Bible. In which sense? If you think about their language. Which language they speak?
Hieroglyphic.
Arabic. This is not language that Pharaoh spoke. Okay? They don't worship the same God. Which God they worship today?
Allah.
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 And what was the case
Amon,
4,000 all sorts
Ra.
of gods,
Ra.
right? Or whatever.
Ra.
Right? The culture is different, language is different. They may be ethnically the same people, but they do not maintain the same culture. However, I was trying to figure out what is definition for a nation. Nation. What is nation? So I went into the Webster dictionary, and that's what I found. All right, let's see if I can find that now. Oof. Computer is a great thing if you know how to deal with this, but not all. Oh, here we go. A nation may refer to a community of people who share a common language, culture, ethnicity, descent, or history. In this definition, a nation has no physical borders. How about that? So it's possible, right? No physical borders.
Yeah.
Possible you can have a nation without the physical borders. However, it can also be referred to people who share a common territory and the government. Okay? In international relations, nations can refer to a country or sovereign state. The word nation can more specifically refer to the people of, say, North American Indians, such as Cherokee. Nation that refers this term over the contested term tribe. All right, so that's what a definition of the nation. Someone who shares common language, culture, ethnicity, descent, and history. And guess what? The only nation in the Middle East who can go with this criteria is only one.
Israel.
Jewish nation. Okay.
All of them.
Now, but we are learning history nevertheless, and this is what I would like to go through with you, since we do not have time to cover all the aspects of Jewish history. We tried the biblical history, right? So we said Abraham, who lived in this country during the days of Abraham. Who ruled this country in the days of Abraham? Not an easy question. It's a conglomerate of groups that we just mentioned, nations that we just mentioned. They did not have a kingdom, one kingdom. Unlike the Egyptians, unlike the Babylonians, right? That was an empire, was a kingdom. Those people had city-states, remember? And we visited those city-states. Anybody remember? City-states?
Chian. Chian.
Beit Shan.
Oh, Beit Shan.
Okay, Megiddo. Remember?
Megiddo.
City-state. Beit Shan. City-state. Geshur, right, of Bethsaida. City-state. Those are little city-states. Okay, all right. So, and that what was here in the days of Abraham. And this is what actually enabled Joshua to conquer. Because if it was a big nation like Egypt, it would be more difficult. And God obviously can do everything. But in our case, the Jewish people run away from Pharaoh. He's too big of a dog in the neighborhood. Okay, so they run away.
Yeah, but also, Mickey, the reason for those little countries, or little, whatever you want to call them,
Territories.
The territories, yes, was because God said, if I drive them all out before you, it will be taken over by wild animals and you won't be able to live there.
Absolutely.
And so I'm giving you something where the houses and the vineyards and everything is already set up. So.
And they succeeded, skirmish by skirmish, battle by battle, they succeeded to conquer all these nations. Okay. And the Jews, first it was a confederate of tribes without any king. And they were ruled by the judges. Remember judges, 400 years. 400 years. Oh, by the way, let's go chronologically. Abraham, roughly 4,000 years ago. Okay, 19th century BC. How long did in Egypt? Remember, 400 plus years. They're down here, 400 years later, and they came as a nation, right? They came as the nation because they shared those criteria that we just mentioned before of common culture, common language, common religion, and common government. Okay. And so they came and they conquered that 400 years, judges, and then we have a first king. Okay, and we mentioned the guy, Saul. All right? Saul ruled. He started successfully, finished unsuccessfully. Then we have David. David had a united kingdom. Remember, united kingdom? He had north and south. All right. David, Solomon, united kingdom. We mentioned that after Solomon's death, which is about 3,000 years ago, 10th century, Solomon's death, we have kingdom split. Remember, northern kingdom, southern kingdom. Okay? And then we mentioned an important date of 722 BC, right? We said that. The end of the northern kingdom. All right? And the northerners are under Assyrian rule.
Okay.
So we have Assyria here. And then 586 BC, that's the end of Judah. All right? But Judah is sucked by Babylonians. Remember his name? Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
May he be forgotten. That's 586 BC. All right? And then we said that that's, say, Assyrians. That's Babylonians. And then we said that Babylonians are taken by the Persians. All that I'm telling you just to show who lived in this land, right? Who possessed this land? Whose land is this? So, you know, the Assyrians can say it's ours because we conquered it. 722. The Babylonians can say it's ours because we conquered it in 586. Then we have the Persians. That's very interesting because they conquered the Babylonians, right? So they were here for a long time. And actually the Persians, the Jews and the Persians got along fine. Book of Daniel, if you remember, Book of Esther, if you remember, all sorts of interesting developments, Jews and Persia. By the way, Uri, our friend Uri, driver, his ancestors are from here, from Assyria. Okay, from northern Iraq. That's where his folks came from. But Persians, we said, are conquered by Alexander. And that's 333 BC.
When did the Persians conquer?
They conquered.
They conquered Babylonians
When?
pretty about 40 years, so it will make you 545.
Northern Kingdom, yeah, right?
Pardon?
It's all Northern Kingdom.
The Babylonians conquered the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. So they ruled here, the whole thing. It's just in the northern kingdom there were no Jews at that time.
Okay.
They were Samaritans, but no Jews at this time. All right, so Persians conquered by a short guy, Alexander the Great, 333 BC. And then after Alexander, we have two dynasties that emerged. One is Seleucid, and the other is Ptolemy. All right, this is Egypt, and this is Syria. All right, that's big kingdoms. They fight with each other. Israel is in the middle. First, we are under Ptolemies, then we are under the Seleucids. And when they started to fight each other really bad, Israel became strong, and we became independent in 168 BC. Since a long time. Independent Israel with the Maccabees. Remember we mentioned the Maccabees? If you want to learn more about the Maccabees, I recommend you drink beer. We have a beer named Maccabee beer. So you'll get acquainted with the Maccabees a little bit better. Or another way is to read the book called the first book of Maccabees and the second book of Maccabees, which is an apocrypha book. Also in Josephus Flavius is using information, giving us information. All right, so we have Maccabees here. Okay, 168. Short. The rule is short. Why? Because as soon as they gained the power, they started to fight within their own family. Sounds familiar to everybody? And year 63 BC, a big dog in the neighborhood
Rome.
comes to rule. That's Rome. Absolutely. 63 BC, that we have Rome. So now, the Italians, right? The Italians can claim this country as well, because Romans ruled since year 63. Remember we said for the beginning phase, they decided to give the rule to the local king, and that was, what's his name?
Herod.
Herod the Great. His dynasty lasted for about 100 years until a big date of the year 70. We talked about it. That's a big thing. When the independent or semi-independent Jewish state was finished, Masada, that's the case. We talked about it. Jerusalem, we will see more of the destruction. One of those days, we'll go check it out. The Jewish semi-independent state is crushed, so we have the full Roman rules. The Jews, however, continued to live here for a while. They continued to live for a while. Because they continued to live for a while, they rebel again. If you think you want to be Jewish, you don't, because the old time they fight with each other somehow, with everybody else. That's a second Jewish revolt, 132, 135 AD. Okay, it's important too. Second Jewish revolt against Rome, like Masada, but a little bit later, 80 years later, they started rebellion again. Why would they rebel all the time? For obvious reasons, but you can add to this a religious reason as well. Based on what we've read, you and me, we've read that. How come that what God promised to us, different nations are taking over? That's why people at Masada, remember at Masada where we were, you would think they must be crazy. Why would they, to begin with, go to challenge 960 people challenge the entire Roman Empire? Why would they do that? Why would you be so crazy to do that? Well, remember there were zealots, there were religious Jews, and this is exactly what they expected. They expected that the Lord will come, interfere, because he promised, because of his covenant, he will come, he'll interfere, and he will send angels to kill the Romans, which happened before. You remember King Hezekiah? Mm-hmm. Okay? That was the Assyrians. Sennacherib, if you wish, attacked Jerusalem. Remember, besieged. He went. He didn't know what to do. He went to Isaiah. Guess what Isaiah said? Repent. That's it. You don't have to build anything. You don't have to fight anything. Go repent. Cry out to the Lord. He will take care of the situation. Next morning, remember, the whole entire Assyrian army dead. 180,000 people. 180,000 people dead. What happened? We don't know until today. It doesn't really matter what happened. They did. That's what happened, and they will take this as a sample, as a pattern that the Lord will interfere. And guess what? The Lord forgot. Slipped out of his mind. He did not interfere, so they were all killed. You saw that in the movie today. All right. So the Romans continued to rule. They crushed the second revolt. They continued to rule. And slowly, they're squeezing Jews out from the land of Israel. They're squeezing the Jews out. So at the middle of the 5th century, here, we don't have the Jews anymore in the land of Israel. Why is that? You see, another interesting episode happens here, and that's important. The year 325 AD will relate to that, when the Romans became Christians. The Romans became Christians. Is it good or is it bad? What do you think?
It's good. Well, it was both. It was
Yeah.
bad.
That's
because-
Jewish.
Yes.
When?
But
Let
it
me
was,
tell
it was
you.
bad
Let's
because
discuss.
Oh, Emperor
Rome
Constantine took over
Rome couldn't control
underground
Christians
churches.
underground, so he said, we can't control them that way by getting rid of them. We'll make it the religion of the state, and then we'll control them that way. And that's what he did. So that's why it's bad, but it's good because at least
Persecution ended, right?
Yes.
Persecution. The Christianity ended, and Christianity became widely spread. Okay, Christianity became widely spread. It became an official religion, but you're not sure or you're not certain is that that's the religion you really want. Because it became a state religion and it started to serve the interest of the emperor, of the state.
Correct.
And as a result of that, through about 200 years later, the land of Israel received a new name, the Holy Land. You see, there's no more Israel, but now what we have the Holy Land. That will include Egypt. It will include Jordan. It will include Asia Minor. It will Turkey. All that is the Holy Land. Okay. But the Romans, in their turn, are conquered in the year 638 by your friends Saudis. Muslim invasion, Muslim conquest. Okay? And the Muslim conquest became very serious. They are here for the long time. Until today, as a matter of fact. The mosque that you've seen today on the Dome of the Rock, that's when it was built. A little bit later than this, about 50 years later, at the end of the 7th century. Okay, and it still stands until today. So we have another claim. Church claims Israel. Muslims also claim Israel. Wouldn't you agree? They claim it's also a holy land for the Muslims. You know how they call Jerusalem? Holy city. That's the Muslim name. Al-Quds. Quds. Kadosh. Holy. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Holy, holy, holy. Holy city. Okay. And the Muslims rules here with exception, there are various dynasties, by the way. What happened with the Muslims? You see, they started in Saudi Arabia with a small group of nomads. We've seen those Bedouins.